Okay, so I'm gonna hit record because I know a lot of people are at work and jumping on and wanna like hear all about your road
Yeah.
to star. So really quickly, I'm gonna introduce her and then I'm gonna let her share. And you guys have questions in the chat, she can answer them later. Um, so this is Izzy, all the way from London. I met Izzy. I think I met you on social in November, I want to
Yeah.
say, and she was in the States working with one of her like she flew all the way over here to work with one of her coaches and her success partner, and I was like, what? And I met her, and then the next thing I knew, she was two-star qualifying after like a short 4 months. It was like just mind blowing. And it's been super fun to work with you a little bit and meet you on the cruise and spend time with you. She was on the Success Club cruise, you guys. She earned it, and she's only been a coach for just about a year and a month or so. And I think, are you officially onward to?
Officially 3-star on Thursday. I'm still qualifying. Yeah. So all being well. Yeah.
And she's
Yeah.
officially 3-star on Thursday. So this has been such a fun journey to watch. So I wanted her to just share her journey, and we're recording, so you can take it away, Izzy.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I always say this to my guys, like this is the thing that I get a lot of enjoyment from as a coach, and that's kind of helping others see success, because it's just that I used to lead a property team in London, and if I can be successful and then help other people do the same, then that's great. So I just wanted to start with that. And I think kind of road to 2-star from Diamond, or even before that, it's really interesting because when I started this, I was just a new qualified personal trainer. So I had a corporate property career. We call it an estate agent. I know you guys call it realtors. So I was a realtor in London for basically 10 years. And I ran a really successful office in London. And then I had my son, and they were so unreasonable with my working hours that we had to get a full-time nanny. And I saw him for half an hour every day. And we had a massive mortgage, we had big bills to pay, and it literally reached the point where I was signed off work with anxiety. I couldn't even do the commute. I used to get so anxious. And in the end, I turned around to my husband one night and I said, I don't care how hard it's going to be. I just cannot. I don't know how I'm going to continue doing this. I just can't. I can't. I was at absolute breaking point. And I know it's not like that for everybody, but that was the story for me. But then it was a case of, right, okay, what am I going to do? And what's going to earn me that money as quickly as possible in a completely new career as a new mum, who was trying to find her feet as a new mum, which I know for any mums on here, is hard enough in itself. And so I qualified as a PT, and I was a little bit into social media, not really at all, like Instagram, just selfies like this, just because I was thinking about building my personal training page more than anything. And that's what my page started as. And then I came across Mackenzie's post, who I think you guys hopefully know, Mackenzie, and I went into a sneak peek, and I'd done Insanity. So as soon as I heard it was Beachbody, I was like, I'm in, because I'd done Insanity for our wedding. I'd done it after I had my son, to just, like, for me, exercise is like, if I don't work out, I feel super, like, actually super depressed. Like, for me, it has to be a part of my life. And actually, I think it's always been that way. So I was like, I'm in. And I genuinely enrolled just because I was like, well, it's a workout program and I'm a new PT and I'm not going to be able to get to the gym because we can't afford it, number one. And number two, I had Arthur and he wasn't in childcare, because that was a sacrifice we had to make so that I could do the PT or personal training qualification. So I started doing it, and I kind of, like any one of you on here, like, had no idea what I was doing, felt super uncomfortable, worried about what my family would think. I still think that, some of them still think I'm crazy, but then I think nothing's changed there really. And anyway, then I started doing an 80-day obsession, and in May, I got a call from my brother in the middle of the night, and my mum had had a brain aneurysm and she never recovered. And she was in a coma for 3 weeks and she passed away. And every time I obviously tell this story, because it's quite recent, it's really hard for me to tell. But the reason why, and this is why I'm talking about it, but the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because actually, without me digging into that program, I actually get really scared when I think about what might have happened, because I dug into that program at a time when I could have just, I mean, I had a history of like not a lot of times depression, but I'd had depression growing up and I'd been on medication and stuff. So for me, I was like, I have to do this for my family. Like, I know my mum isn't going to survive, but I know that 80-day obsession is going to be there. And for me, like, I've been in a corporate routine. I was like, I have to just dig into this program and I have to like do this for me and my mindset and for my family. And I just have to cling on to it and I have to show up every day. And obviously, like, you know, we're coming around to her death date, so that's getting difficult. But for me, I authentically see the value because I did the programs before, but because that's literally pulled me out of the most horrific trauma. And I'm not saying like, goodness, I really hope you know, don't lose a parent so young, or if you have, you know, I'm sorry. But I think it made me realize that this is just so much more than workout program. And I think before I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I hadn't really realized the power of the opportunity, but because I'd experienced that, I thought and realized, and that's what I see now, is that anybody who's going through anything, whether it's weight loss difficulties, whether it's like a really, excuse my language, shitty time of their life, whether that's like a marriage breakdown, or, you know, they lose someone, or, you know, they're in an abusive relationship, whatever it might be, or they just need a way out, I know that this offers the way out. And so that was the time where I was like, it just gave me a focus. It gave me a real focus. And I started to do stuff more regularly. So I just started to do the vital behaviors, which quite frankly, until probably August, I wasn't really doing that at all. And then I got Emerald, and then we got put in the Diamond Push group. And Mackenzie and Danielle said, you need to do your own sneak peek. And I didn't really know anyone, but I'd seen this girl, Claire, who is my success partner. We do stuff together still now, come into the business. And I was like, you know, like, I'm sure you guys will relate because this is what we do. I just thought there was something about her that I just clicked with. So I was like, Claire, do you want to do it together? And I just had no fear. I just asked her, like, I'm the girl in the UK, like, not many girls in the UK on that team. So kind of had to just like put myself out there. And she was like, yeah, why not? And anyway, we did a sneak peek together. It was really clunky. We didn't enroll anyone. We felt really quite shitty afterwards. But it gave us so much confidence. We were absolutely terrified. And it's really interesting now to think about it, because that is, you know, it's well under a year ago. And if it wasn't for me putting myself in that situation where I did a sneak peek, I don't think I ever would have done one. And I don't think I'd be where I am today. So that is something that I would strongly advise you to do, even if you feel super uncomfortable, even if you have 5 people in it. Like Claire and I, you know, we promote posts, which I'll go on to talk about, but you know, we didn't know about promoted posts then. So like, we were just authentically inviting people, getting them in. I probably had like max 10 people in there. And then about a month down the track, I was like, do you know, and everyone had been to Summit, but I hadn't gone to Summit because I was so new. I'd enrolled on the 18th of March, and obviously a flight to the States from the UK is really expensive. So all these photos from Summit, and I was like, that was kind of what gave me FOMO. And I thought to myself, I just have no way of giving somebody FOMO. Like, I just don't, because I've not been to Summit. I've not met anyone. And I just had a thought, and I said to my husband, I said, do you think I should just say to Claire, like, shall I just get on the flight and we can do a sneak peek together and we can do a photo shoot? And he was like, yeah, like, why not? And I was like, but it's so much money. And he was like, but it'll be an investment. And I think at that point I was like, I love to travel. So for me, I was like, cool, I love the States, like, let's go. And I asked Claire and she was like, let's do it. And so we did it, and we did the sneak peek, and we planned it out. And I know Lindsay will share the group with you if you haven't been in there. And it went really well. And we promoted posts, which I know hopefully Lindsay's covered that all with you. So I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of that, but that's kind of really been huge for our business in terms of building us to build teams quickly. But I think, you know, from Diamond, like Diamond was, I think if you're pushing for Diamond, I'm not sure like what ranks we've got on here, but if you're pushing for Diamond or even like 1 star, I think the one thing that I wish someone had told me is that, Izzy, you're gonna, like, however hard you're working, you're gonna have to work 3 times as hard, like literally. And I think I thought I was just like doing the stuff and and I'm great and I've got it all covered. And then when I decided to go all in, and I was like, do you know what, I see the vision with this business, I see the potential. I'd spoken to Lindsay and she was telling me about her earnings, and I was like, well, this is not a joke. Like, this is way more than PT is ever going to be. And it means that I can get Arthur from school, because he's at under 3. But, the personal training was starting to irritate me, because I'd have clients and they'd be ill, then someone would be sick, then someone would go on holiday and I wouldn't get paid. And I said to my husband, this just isn't, I can't do this long term, actually, because it's not sustainable. And I don't like that feeling of not knowing that I've got that sustainable income. So I obviously went all in on the business, and I became very, very focused on time blocking. So like follow-ups, and even just before I got on the call, I did 15 minutes and I didn't allow myself to move, because I just had like a set number of follow-ups I needed to get through. And I was like, you're going to sit down here, you're going to have your water, and you're just going to focus on that and not worry about messages. So I think that's a real top tip, aside from any other kind of like strategic tips I'm going to give. Like, be so conscious of your time. And I know like a lot of you guys probably aren't doing this full time, and that's cool. Like, I say I do it full time, but I don't really, because Arthur's, he's in preschool a little bit, but not all the time. And I still do a couple of classes. So I started doing this when I was probably doing this like very much part time, when I consider like the hours that I have Arthur and the hours that I was doing PT and classes. But I got really strategic with my time, and I would write down what I needed to cover in the day. And I know you guys have got the business activity tracker. I personally don't use it, but essentially what I'm doing is the same. And I have the 10-minute planner, which it's an American company. In fact, it was my coach Jojo who got it for me. And it lays out the days day by day with like breakdown of 10-minute tasks. And I love it. So I think it's like $25. It's not the cheapest, but honestly, like, I'm obsessed with it. So that would be my little top tip for like how to organize that time. And then it was just a case of me going, right, okay, I want to be at X income by the end of, and I do this now, the end of 2019, I want to be, well, I'll just be honest, like, I want to be at like 65K. Like, that's where I want to be. What do I need to do to get there? And I'd had coaches come on board to Diamond, and then I started to really realize, right, well, if I want to build to like 2-star, 3-star, and all these amazing things that, mean like further success, but obviously helping my leaders develop, then I've really got to change my strategy. And Claire and I had our team page, like we do our own separate ones now, which actually I think has been really helpful. Now I'm kind of 2-star and beyond. And I would say that like the game changer has been the way that I enroll coaches. Like, I know a lot of the time people say don't get on a call until they've got through the training. No, I don't believe in that. Personally, at the moment, even if I'm doing Success Club 40, I can get on a call with every single coach that enrolls. I want to understand from that call, like, how serious they are, what they want from the business, if they understand at that point what they do want from the business. Because I think a lot of the time coaches come in and what they want from the business changes. Like it did for me. If Mackenzie had said to me, what do you want from the business? I'd be like, well, I don't know yet, Mackenzie. Like, I just want to do the workouts and maybe I can help a couple of people. Like, that's how I enrolled. So I'm conscious of that. But what I do, and I know hopefully you guys have seen this in the other trainings, and it's been a real like difference for my like elite point rankings and everything recently, is that I tell those guys from the moment they enroll, right, pick a program, let me know if you want my help, take some before pictures, start the training, make sure you don't get behind, and pick a personal development book. Personal development will make or break your business. So if you're not doing it for 15 minutes every day, it's not going to work. Like, I'm quite blunt about it, because I've seen that for myself. Like, I've nearly flunked out when I haven't done personal development. And I really struggle some days. Like, I really, really do. And I think I'm like an introverted extrovert. And so that won't always be apparent from like the way that I am, but I do. And so I know how important that is. And I just set that as like, don't come to me saying you can't do it, because if you're coming to me saying you can't do it, you haven't done PD. I give a couple of book recommendations, and then I basically say, and this is something I met Carl Deichler on the trip, because obviously I'm UK and it's quite new in the UK, and I'm like, for elite points at the moment, I'm number 1 and then number 2, 1, 2, like month on month. So he wants to know what I'm doing. And he said, Izzy, I really like to see with the coaches, just when they're onboarding, that they're sowing the seed in their coaches' heads before they've enrolled, that they just need to start thinking about 2 people that they can help. And if they can't think about 2 people that they can help, then maybe it's not for them. And I thought, do you know what? He's so right. And we, you know, I know retention rate, we're always going to have coaches that come in and that bounce. And I think that's inevitable. I think it's still going to happen. But I don't necessarily say that to them before they enroll, but the moment I have that call, which I have as soon as I can possibly have from the moment they enroll, and I think that's the difference changer too. If I kind of like lar along for a couple of days after they've enrolled, that is already, you've already lost momentum, because they're really excited, but maybe they can't do the call, which is, you know, as long as you've tried to get it in there as quickly as you can, I will then set the tone and I'll say, right, have you got a couple of people that you can start thinking of? And if I say, like, what do you want from this business? Often they'll say what they've put on their application form, which is, well, I'd love to make it a full-time thing. And I'm like, okay, if you want to make it a full-time thing, then I just really need you to be coachable, to kind of listen to what I'm going to tell you need to do, because I have got a system that works, but I need you to kind of take on board what I'm saying. And we need to get you to Emerald, which is the first rank in the business, as quickly as possible. And then I say, I've got an Emerald call in my team page. Are you good if I tag you in that? Because if this is something that you want to build and you want to build like a full-time income, then it's super simple. We just need to get you there as soon as possible. And then at that point, once I've seen you've gone Emerald, I'm going to link arms with you and I'm going to strategize how we're going to get your business where you want it to go. And I'm very much going to be more available for you. And I'm quite honest about that, and that is the way that I do things. So once I have somebody who's gone Emerald, I then have another call with them and I say, great, I'm so delighted you've gone Emerald. Like, this is kind of, I suppose, you know, as I become a kind of stronger leader, and I'm still finding my feet, like I'm quite a new leader, right? But as I find my feet, that's becoming something that's almost a privilege. And so they want to do that. And so when I'm posting about the Emerald in 24-hour call, which I do every other week, I do one every other week, regardless of how many girls I think are going to be there. I just make it really clear to them that they're going to get more of my time. I'm going to spend more time with them. And I kind of need to see that in order for me to give them my time. And I know, like, I've even got a 20-year-old that went Emerald, and like, you know, and obviously nothing against 20-year-olds, but it's because I gave her that self-belief and I just said, look, let's start building this momentum. And now she's flying out the gates. She's doing amazing Instagram posts, and it's all because I said, and she wouldn't have even thought about it, and probably she wouldn't have lasted. And that example, which was only a couple of weeks ago, made me really realize the importance of just getting them there, because yes, it's good for our own rank advancement, but actually that's what your guys need to do if they want to see success. And, you know, thinking about probably all of your journeys, you all started to gain momentum and confidence when you got to that Emerald rank. And I think that is understated sometimes. I think people don't like talk about that enough. Because it does give them the confidence, because often it's like one controlled account and then it's a friend, and I just say, like, it's just your dirt list, like you just somebody that would buy dirt from you. And I often say, like, the only reason why you're not going to get to Emerald is because you don't have the courage to have those conversations. I'm going to help you have those, like help you strategize how you can have those conversations. So then when they get Emerald, I have another call with them. So there's a getting started right call, is one call, and then once they're Emerald, obviously some people go Emerald almost immediately, which is great. Some don't take on board what I'm saying for whatever reason. You know, people want to do their thing their own way. Then after they've gone Emerald, I have a call with them, and then I really want to understand what their goals are. I talk to them about Diamond. I send them the Diamond roadmap. I want to understand by what date they want to do it, what their income needs to be, and I start to break down what their goals should be for where they want to be financially and kind of rank wise. And then what I'm starting to do, and I know Emily Forver does this, I get them into pods. So I have a pod at the moment, which is a lot of my British coaches who've probably been kind of on the push to Diamond for the longest out of everyone in my team, and they've all got diamond dates that kind of keep slipping a little bit, but we're all in that group together, and we check in on our stats in that group every single day. And I try to stay out of that group as much as possible. I don't want to I obviously love the community, but I want that group to be a group where we literally just check in on the stats, because I'm really aware, as you guys probably are, that when you start to get 1 million voice clips in several different groups, think about what it does for you, and then think about what it does for your coaches. So I try to kind of manage the voice clip numbers by not being that vocal in those groups, because I kind of want them to see that this is where we check in on our stats, and we have a team call every week to have more of a chat. And so I do that. So I have the pod with the diamonds to be dependent on their date. So I have 2 pods running at the moment. I have one which is like May diamonds. They're like pushing diamond for May. And then I have newer coaches that have come in who also want to go diamond, but they're like babyer coaches, and they're doing less on the numbers because their pipelines are smaller. So the numbers that we check in on are invites, follow-ups, number of people added to a share a cart, number of people added to a sneak peek, the number that have enrolled, what our success club is on that day, and what the target is for the month, and our diamond date. And that has to be checked in on every single day. And I'm really strict about that, because I learned the hard way with another pod that I did when people started to slip off, that just brought down the energy. And in the end, I had to pull people out, and then I cancelled it. And it's just not what I want with those groups. And obviously I don't want to make anyone feel crappy when you have to take them out. So before they go into those pods, I talk to them about the expectation of the group. I say, look, it's up to you if you go in this group. I'm not saying that you have to go in. I just want you to understand that we check in on these stats every day. It is an expectation that you check in on them every single day, like no excuses. And if that's not something that you feel comfortable with, then it's probably not going to be the group for you. And you can push for diamond and I'll help you, but you're not going to be in that pod. And usually they're like, okay, great, or I'll think about it, and then okay, great. Because I never want anyone to feel like I'm dragging them along either. And I've had that experience with another, like one of my first coaches, I won't state any names, but that kind of, I really learned a lesson there, that I didn't want to drag anyone along. I don't want them to feel that I'm dragging them along, and I don't want to lose all my positive energy by dragging someone along who's ultimately not going to make it. Or not going to make it for the strategy of that pot. It doesn't mean they're not going to make it. It just means that they might just be one of these sleeping giants that Keith Callahan talks about. And then it's just about, something that I'm really working on now is obviously ensuring that my coaches are replicating. So I'm really trying to get them to have those conversations with their coaches from the moment they enroll. Now, whether or not they're doing that at this moment in time, that's the biggest challenge for me, and I'm learning and growing as a leader all the time. And actually, Lindsay, Brooke reached out to me to ask about my promoter post, and she is going to send me a couple of tools that she has. And she said, and you'll know this, she said, don't tell them how to do it, show them how to do it. And I think that for me is an area of development that I need to build on as a leader, because I tell them how to do it, not necessarily show them how to do it. And I think I need to get on more 3-way calls with them, and things like that. But that is something that I'm just trying to get my coaches to replicate. So the ones that are pushing for the nearest diamond dates, I have a weekly call with them, as well as our team call on a Sunday. So I usually do that on a Monday, and it's usually an hour. There's about 8 coaches. There were less this week because some were on holiday, but we literally then check in on how the week was, what success club did we do, what worked well, what didn't work well, what they want my help on, and any particular like feedback I can give that's worked well for me, or and just make it a bit more sociable, I suppose. That pod is I'm pretty blunt. I put my numbers in because I want them to see that that's what we do in that group, but I don't also want them to feel that I'm totally like that, because actually I'm not as a person. And that seems to work quite well. So I think kind of the biggest change that I had to put into place going from kind of diamond and beyond, and to get to diamond, is you have to step into that leadership place. And I don't think I'd properly thought through when I started. Well, I didn't even realize actually when I started with Beachbody that it was about leadership, and that leadership is crucial. And now I run my own page. I've got serious fire up my backside, because I've got a whole, like, all those coaches are relying on me and me alone, because I put them into our uplines page. But because a lot of us are from the UK and the calls are at times that we can't do, it's and obviously, like, I've got a voice as a leader. It's I'm not going to say it's easy. Like, I'm at a point of my business now where it's really changing. I'm realizing and seeing that actually I really need to be that leader, and I really need to show up for them. And so there's no day that I'm not on my game on Instagram, because now it's not just about people that are going to watch me to get enrolled. It's about the way that I am on my Instagram for my leaders who are coming through. They need to see that I'm doing my gratitude in the morning. They need to see that I'm doing my personal development. They need to, and I think that is huge. And I can't remember, I listened to so many trainings, I can't remember which one it was. I can't even remember what was the national wake up call this week. It might have been. But yeah, it was. And she was talking about just in your stories, like being that coach for people. And it's really interesting because that's kind of what I do anyway. Like I'm that coach for people who I know are going to be my coaches, so that, I have coaches that come on board and they've already listened to You're a Badass, because I've put it in my stories all the time because it's my favorite book and I listen to it over and over and over and over again. But then for my coaches, it's like, I don't have to then worry about them so much, because if they need tips and, hints for personal development, professional development, they're kind of always in there. And I think that's the added pressure. Like, it is an added pressure because you have to show up for you and your best self. And so you have to be on your like mindset game, because if I'm not on my mindset game, if I'm like this one week, my coaches will be like that week. It's really crucial to be that leader that they want to see, and be your best self. And so like, I think the other thing is, like, I find myself now, honestly, my biggest weakness as a leader is just the tech stuff. Like, naturally I'm rubbish with tech, and that's something that I'm getting better at. But I find myself now going, well, what would a 10-star diamond coach do? Well, they wouldn't do that, and so I constantly question myself on what I'm producing. And yeah, it makes me level up and it puts pressure, but that is where like the difference is. And then of course, if you're behaving like that coach, then your coaches that come through are more likely to behave like that coach too. So it's just that ethos. And then I try to now go live, or at least share something in the team page every single day, whether that's a professional training or I've gone live in the page, or I'm checking on Success Club numbers. I'm high on recognition in our team page, big time, because that's what people want to see and it pumps them up. And yeah, I think the pods is huge. And the other huge thing as a takeaway, I would say, is just getting those coaches set up for success and for Emerald literally straight out of the gates. Don't wait. Don't think they're going to get overwhelmed. And some of them might, but then they're probably not going to be your coaches anyway. But also remember that there are different ways to lead. That's the way that I lead, because I'm that kind of leader. And so I would struggle to move really slowly, because with everything in my life I've moved at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So I'm not that coach that can kind of hang back. I'll always check in with my coaches every single week, because I never want my coaches to feel like I've just dropped them, even if they're not doing anything. I want them to know that I'm there, and that if they, if I see from them that they want to, they need help on something, I'm there for them. But I'm not going to be, dragging people along, and I'm not going to slow down the pace for those people. Because that's just the way that I lead. So I think that's it.
That's awesome. Thank you. I forgot to tell you guys, she is currently ranked the top coach in the UK. That was like
when someone told me that last week, I was like, no.
When I was with her, I was like, it was so eye-opening to see her, and like, she's like, I don't drag. I really want these people to have it. I want them to do it, but I'm not giving it. And we're just moving along. And if they're coming, they're coming. It was something that I was like, that's really like, good for even me to learn from her. I learn a lot from you.
I've learned a lot of the strategies. Like, Lindsay is the most incredible leader, and I'm so grateful for having Lindsay in my life, because honestly, I don't think I would have seen, like, I don't think I would be anywhere near where I am right now if it wasn't for Lindsay, because she's, you guys know, like, strategically, she's incredible. And she's the opposite to me from the perspective of she'll always help that coach. And that, I think, that probably will come with time, but the way that I want to build my business is that I want to get there as quickly. I want to be in as much pain as possible right now, like with my blinkers on, so that in a couple of years, I don't have that pain. I'm not running at 150 miles an hour. I can reel back. I can have my family life. My husband might be able to quit his corporate job, and I can then nurture those coaches more. But at the moment, I'm not willing to stop because there's someone here that is, you know, Izzy, I need XYZ. Well, I'll help them, but I'm not going to bring them in. With kind of, you know, that's the other thing. I'll just quickly say, we're organizing, you know, I'm trying to get a sneak peek. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I'm trying to get my leaders that are diamonds and going to be diamonds very soon into that, because I'm trying to get them into position where they're doing what I did, because that's going to give them confidence that their prospects are going to see them on that sneak peek video. And to me, that's huge.
Their story. Yeah, because think about like, and if you guys have questions, feel free to ask her. Think about, like, I just think about when she was like, can you just look at this sneak peek? Like, I just got back from San Diego. And I'm like, what? And she's like, I just went and met my coach and I went and traveled, did the things. I was like, you did what? I was just like what? I haven't even gone over to London yet. This is crazy. And I get in this group and I'm like, you would think there were elite coaches in there talking, like they didn't I know a big like struggle for people is, well, I don't have the money yet to talk about it. And these girls, like you guys, like, it was just so, it was simple. It was 2 videos, their story, and then the second video was the who, what, when, where of Beachbody and coaching or influencing, however they called it. And it was just 2 simple videos, and it was just awesome. Like, they didn't, you know, I earned this or I did this. They just told their stories and their passion. They shared their passion, and it was just awesome. And I was like, everybody needs to do this. Like, they weren't even diamonds yet at the time. And that whole trip, like, took her to where she's at today, because then they utilized it for a long time as a system, and they kept bringing people in to watch these videos, and it made their lives easier. And of course, her new coach at the time, that was her first diamond, who then was like, okay, I've got this story, like, I'm on the video, so I'm going to invite people, and it makes their lives easier. So, like, that was such an eye-opener for me, because I was like, well, that's really smart that Mackenzie said, go do your own sneak peek. And I know it's scary.
And I think, do you know what? You just touched on something which I haven't touched on and is crucial. And I see it with people in my team. And I'm that person who is scarcity mindset. I can't spend this because it's not going to come back. And do you know what? Listen to Be Obsessed or Be Averaged. Literally, if you put the money out in the universe, 1, it puts fire on your backside, you will make it back. But 2, if you aren't investing more and more, your business is shrinking and shrinking. Okay, so like, I put money into it, and that is super uncomfortable for me. Like, that's never a place that I come from, a family where that is something I have to challenge on a daily basis. But that trip is the reason why I am where I am now. And that's why I'm like, with people for Summit, I'm like, if you'll spend like 1,500 quid on a personal development course and you won't go to Summit, like, I don't get it. I'm like, you haven't seen how crucial that is for your business and how that's going to help you skyrocket, aside from any personal development you're going to get, which clearly I didn't get from that trip. But that is, if people can't make that flip in their head of saying, do you know what, I'm going to have to fork out several £100s and get on a flight and do whatever. If they can't flip that switch, in my opinion, it's not going to work, or it will work, but it's going to take a lot longer. And there's nothing wrong with it taking a lot longer. I just want to say that too. Like, I know, and I said this to my coaches the other day, like, I know I run at pace, and it doesn't mean everyone wants to run at pace. And there are several ways to build this business, as we know. But if you want to see that success quickly, and I want to be at that 6-figure income by the end of 2020, which is what's going to happen, like, it's just got to, then I'm going to have to invest with money that I don't have. Yeah. So I invest and make it back, invest and make it back. You know, that's just the way it works. And that's why I'm building so fast, because I'm investing into my business. I'm not really, you know, I'm making a fair bit now, but I'm investing into my business, and that's uncomfortable for me. But I know I've got to keep doing it because it's working.
Yeah. And the other thing is, if this was any other business, you would be investing like 10 times more just to start that. And this is like an investment, but yeah, you make it back. so much faster if you do the things. Okay, so can you tell us about this is like one of my favorite conversations with Izzy. Tell us about your morning. And
I've got a real problem now. Like I'm becoming a bit of a control freak with it. If I can't have my morning, literally it's like I can't cope with life. So this is like like literally we go away and I'm like, I have to make sure I can do it all. I like my day will not go well if I can't do it all. So my morning is, and I'm like that person, right, that gets up and looks at their phone and is like, oh, okay, I need to start replying, like, because I'm that kind of person. And in the end, I used to wake up and I would just feel sick. I'd just feel really sick. And I felt really crappy because I'd wake up and the first thing I would do is like help someone else, really. And actually, you realize that over the passage of time, when you start to feel really knackered and ground down, that something's got to change. And that's, I think, where this routine came from, because I was like, this just is not working. And so I have done quite a lot of Sarah's my top coach. This is Sarah here saying I'm so that kind of person too. So I get up and I don't allow myself to look at my phone because it will be, you know, I'm on my phone all day long, right? So I don't allow myself to look at my phone. It actually goes straight into my office and I go downstairs. I'll literally just talk you through my entire routine. I make myself some porridge. I have a cup of coffee. I come upstairs. My laptop stays shut, like no tech, no nothing. Out comes my pretty pen and my nice notepad. I write down what I'm grateful for every single morning, even if I'm like, often genuinely I wake up feeling like in a really bad funk. I don't know how it's going to go today, but if I do that, I know I'm always back on my game. So I write down what I'm grateful for and just really appreciate the amazing things in life that we all have, you know, those that we love, a roof above our heads, you know, whatever it might be. It's going to be different for every single one of us. And then my vision, and that's gratitude is crucial for like feeling positive, but my vision is what puts fire under my backside, because I am like, growing up, I never had, like, I was privately schooled, but my mum was a teacher, so she got reduced fees. So I was with like all the rich kids, but we weren't really rich and we could never really do anything. And I would want to travel. Like, I'm a Sagittarius. So if you do horoscopes, you'll know Sagittarius. They love to travel. So I like wanted to go on, you know, mummy, can we go here? No, we can't afford it. No, we can't. And I was literally like, oh, I felt really sad as a kid. I mean, I had a great upbringing. I'm not complaining, but we didn't go away much. We didn't go overseas much at all. We went to Cornwall, which is in the UK. And then yeah, like so for me, my vision involves like overseas travel, and I want to always travel first class. Like, that's just something that is a goal for me. We love to travel. Guy loves to travel. Guy, my husband, also loves or likes traveling in a nice way, as we all do. If we like to travel, like some of us don't like to travel. And we love the States, so we want a holiday home in Santa Monica. We would like to have we've got a house on a beach, Gibbs Beach in Barbados, which is our favorite beach. And I'm actually going to look into the cost of how much those houses cost, because I'm just getting really clear on my vision. I look at my vision board. I have a candle which is inspired on the Californian coast. It's a cucumber water candle, because I'm like, I want to breathe in. Like they say, like the clearer you are on your vision, the more it comes to life. So like, as I'm writing out my vision, I've got my candle lit. There's a certain school that I want my son to go to, because actually part of my background is that I got forced down a real academic path by my parents, and actually I'm quite creative. And when my mum passed away, I actually saw a psychologist, I'll just be honest, and she said, you were never accepted for who you were, because they wanted you to be something you weren't. So they wanted you to be really academic. And so with that, I don't ever want my son to be forced down some route that I want for him. I want him to go to a paid school where he can literally be nurtured and he can see what he's good at. And I don't ever want him to have the pressure of, you know, in the UK, like the grammar school system is very academic, and I don't really want him to. So it's a certain school that I really like in the local area, living on a certain road in the area that we live in. So I write my vision, and then I write down my goals. So my vision, and I write down my vision for the year even. And this sounds like it's a really long process. It probably takes me about 10 minutes because I'm so clear on it. I know what I'm writing down every single time. So I write down my vision and then my goals. So I want to be 15 star by the end of 2020, 10 star by the end of 2019. And then like I work down the diamond like dates for this year. And then I work out what I need to do, like whether it's supporting certain coaches, follow-ups and invites is often on there if I've got a Success Club target. So I'll write down my target for the month. I'll write down where I am for the month, and then what action needs to follow through to achieve that objective, whether or not it's kind of rank advancement or it is if it's Success Club, which just bolsters my income at the moment as well. And obviously, you know, if you've read Keith Callahan's book, you'll know that it's kind of, you've got to get those numbers in now so that you can find the leaders, because a lot of them aren't going to be leaders. They're really not. And that's the thing, it's a numbers game. You've just got to keep going, because a lot of them are not going to be your leaders that are going to make you that income. And I think I'm going off on a tangent, but I think that's something that we're...
And I'll just add okay, so I've been in this for 8 years. And 8 years later, we have this girl right here, right? And think about that. And like Mackenzie, who's her coach, has been in it, I want to say four years?
Yeah, I think 3 to 4 years.
So she's been recruiting and building her team for 4 years. And then all of a sudden, this 4th year, it was like Izzy, Claire, and then there's another coach, Janine. It was like, Janine's been with her longer, but like now she's like, yeah, that was worth every effort that I've put in, because now she's got these amazing leaders coming through, and the same thing is going to happen for you. It's just, I always say the difference is time. Like I've got time on this thing and others are newer, and you just got to get that time under you. You got to take the time to bring in the people. So anyways, I love her morning routine. I'm the same way. If I don't do personal development, I can't function. I like walk into walls. I was saying that, I was like, how does anyone not go through a day without personal development? I literally...
I couldn't do it, actually.
Like I can't function.
And I'm often listening to it. So my top tip for personal development, I don't know if Lindsay does the same, is I'll then go into my like Mac, and I will literally look at my type form, check there aren't any applications. I'll be checking my coach office, and as I'm checking that stuff, which is not, you know, clearly it needs concentration, but not so much as like following up and stuff, I'll be listening to personal development. And I do what actually Danielle Natoni said, and I think this is something she said on the trip. Yeah. She has a routine with what she does, and I don't know if Lindsay does the same. She probably does. She has her energize, and then she listens to her personal development for 15 minutes because it takes that long to kick in. And I love that. So I've kind of started doing that, and that's cool. And then do my workout first thing. This has been a game changer, because honestly, I didn't always do my workout first thing. And now I'm like, again, if I do it in the afternoon, I feel really off.
So that's just a big tip for you guys, to make sure that you're taking care of you first so you can take care of others. And that brings your energy up, because in the morning you can wake up and like roll out the wrong side of the bed many a days. And if you do these couple of things in a very short period of time, it can completely change your energy, which is important for your stories, because then they can hear like how excited you are. And that's what you need. Like they need like the reason, like another great reason why, and I don't know, I know you bring in a lot of coaches right now because she's trying to get in to find her leaders, you know, find her 5. And she has this energy and just like excitement, and it's just constantly, and it's not that she's on 24/7, it's that she's growing herself and working on herself between following a program, which by the way, she's got Morning Meltdown. Are you loving it?
I love that program, and I love it for mindset. Like genuinely, I think for coaches as well, it's going to be huge, because you have to do it in the morning, and you get this like incredible like coffee table book, and for each day you have to write down how you're feeling and why you dug into your workout. And honestly, for me, I'm like, I needed that, because I was that person that was always like, I know I should do it in the morning, but I really can't. I just want to do my follow-ups and my invites, and then I get to the afternoon and I just feel absolutely rubbish, and probably my invites and follow-ups weren't any good either. So yeah, it's amazing. You guys are going to love it. I love Jericho. She's incredible.
So excited. Okay, you do IG ads. Has that been a success for you? So the promoted posts.
Yes, It has. I would say that IG are getting stricter on the way that these ads go through. Like I had an ad that ran and ran and ran, and I think this is probably normal. Lindsay's probably done more than me, but it ran and ran and ran, and then they flagged it, and then I had to amend it, and then I've had to re-promote, and the number of applications is lower. But what you'll find is that when you find a promotion that goes, stick with it, because you stick with it until the numbers start to come down again. And with the algorithm, if Instagram see that you promote and you re-promote, it starts to like it, and then it starts to get more traction because it's got more likes. So I do the IG ads. That definitely works. I will also add though, and I've been saying this to my team, do not rely on IG ads alone. Like I still invite, I still do follow-ups, and I still do invites and follow-ups as much as I always have done. So I will invite and connect with people that follow me, that like my stuff and watch my stories still. And I've had some great coaches come out of that too. So I think they're not mutually exclusive. And I do worry that sometimes people are just doing the IG ads and not doing the other stuff, because the IG ads are amazing and absolutely they're working for me. But the biggest thing that I'm slightly nervous about at the moment is that IG is changing all the time, as these social media platforms do. I know Lindsay experienced it on Facebook, and we need to be able to do those vitals in the best possible way, so that if that was taken away at any time, we're still able to, you know, run with momentum. But yeah, they do. How many invites? So this is the thing, because I promote posts, I always say this to my guys, like, you imagine that I have Google Streak and like say the invites here, and then you're like, are you interested? Then you follow up again. If I promote, they're coming in straight here because they're interested and they want to go into the sneak peek. So essentially people that apply are my invites, or some of my invites. So invite wise, I've never been really heavy on inviting, and honestly I still don't understand how people invite 50 people a day, but maybe I just don't have enough people following my stories. I will always invite max 20, and you'll be lucky sometimes if it's 10, but it's always over 5. It's always at least 7 or 8. But I don't know, like, to me it feels super uncomfortable to just invite everyone. And then actually to track it, and then, you know, with these coaches that invite 50 people a day, I'm like, are they following up in the way that we say they should follow up 7 or 8 times? Because I don't believe that can be possible. And I'm super heavy on the follow-up. Like, I had a girl yesterday who I spoke to on the phone, and she was like, do you know what? You usually people like you, I just can't, you've just messaged me too many times. And she was like, but there's something about you, I just had to. And now she's about to enroll. And I've had that happen a couple of times where I'm like, is that one message too many in my head? And I've sent it, and then so like, you know, the top people that perform and do well in sales, which I suppose essentially is what we're doing, although I hate to say that because I don't think of it like that, because I love what I do so much from a, you know, place of integrity. They say that only 10% of salespeople will follow up enough to have a really successful business, and that is up to 8 times. And I think a lot of us will give up after like 5 follow-ups. And I think that's where I'm like, I don't understand how you would invite 50 people a day and be doing all of those follow-ups. I wouldn't have enough hours in the day, but that's me.
The only thing I could add to that is, when they do that invite, only so many come back interested, so it breaks the number down. And the reason they do the high number of invite, and the only reason I really know this is because one of them is here in Arizona, and I went through a live power hour with her. So I actually had and I actually have it on video. I just need to upload it. But the thing is if she invited 50, she would get maybe 1 to 10 interested. But if she only invited 10, she would get less. So that's why. And yes,
so she doesn't put all the invited ones on the tracker.
Correct. Just the ones that are interested.
Right. So this is what I do. I will follow up people who haven't replied. Like, well, not every day. And I still get traction with that. But I'm like, that can't work on mass.
Yeah.
And
right.
So I actually, it's really interesting. I'm learning something from Lindsay here, because I've been thinking recently, do I put all the invites on the tracker, or do I just put the ones that have responded?
But here's the other tip. The other thing is, then a month, so like, she consistently is going through the story watchers, and then the likes, and then the followers. And she, one of the things that she says is, if like 30 or so days ago, she comes up on someone watching, and she's like, oh, I invited her. Like, you could see in your DM, she re-invites, like, is now a better time to maybe look into this. So then if they're interested, it goes into.
But it doesn't go on to her streak and doesn't clog it all up until, which actually I think would be the difference changer for me. I think that's something I need to do.
That was helpful to me too. I was like, oh, and you get it done really fast. Like in 45 minutes, you can get a lot done. I found that system. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
I think Kate Schultz does that from the call that I watched. Oh, okay.
Yeah, she took.
Oh, okay, fine. I thought when she did that power hour in the Beachbody Champions page, and she was writing stuff down, I thought, she's not putting that in streak, or is she? So that's really, really interesting. And I know Sarah, who's on this call, or was on this call, she might have gone. She was wondering about that too. So that's interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, I actually have that. I'll upload it, you guys, and I'll hand it over, because she moved here to Arizona and she was on that super weekend, like training, teaching. So I'm like, and I asked her to speak, and I'm like, she's like, well, I'm going to be speaking on the thing. So I'm like, okay, how about a live power hour? So she literally took the whole super weekend through, and it was a game changer for us live, because we were like, wow, you're right. Like you could get so much done so fast.
Yeah.
You just shut everything off. Like the busiest of busy moms, like you can get so much done if you take 45 minutes, and then you got to find.
And she's not really tracking it. So she's writing down the names for the ones that need to go in the tracker, right?
Yeah, so she does the notebook thing where like they do get written down here, and then they get highlighted once they're interested. So if you've got 50 here or 40 or 30, whatever works for you, it doesn't have to be 50. Then she will go back. She won't pay attention until they've, if they're
oh, that's a game changer.
Yeah, I was like, this all makes sense. This is so simple. You can get so much done in like 2 hours. This is crazy. And I break it up now. So anyways, that's just a tip.
Sorry, that's a tangent, off on a tangent, but that was super useful for me.
Well, a little off on a tangent there. I actually have a call. I'll give it to you. I did a little call on it, and I can, I call it the part-time system. Because ever since she did that, I was just like,
and that's what, like, all the time in the back of my head, I'm like, how do people do this who are full-time teachers and they're like 10, 15-star diamonds?
That's how. And that's exactly how they're doing it. So, okay, so we went off. Does anybody have any questions for Izzy outside of, we got the invites, we talked about ads, she's really high on follow-ups. Sure.
Can I ask her? It's Kim.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. So if you're only sending like 5 to 7 or whatever, 10 or less invites a day, all of those other, I know that you do ads and things like that, but are you just building relationships, and that's what your follow-up is so strong?
Yeah, so this is where my system is. I suppose it's like I need to have that part of the funnel too, right? So the invite follow-up funnel. But so when I promote a post, I might get I had 40 this last time, but it's because it was a new ad. I'll usually get 60 to 80. And that's 60 to 80. I usually do it 2 to 3 times a month. And you imagine that I've been doing that since October, November. And of course, those people are interested, and they do need to go in a tracker, and they do need a follow-up. And so that in itself is basically, I'm like, sometimes I don't have time to do, I'll do story invites, honestly, twice a week, because I don't have time to do it every day, because the follow-up wise, and Sarah's here and she promotes posts, often we're up to 100 follow-ups a day. So it will be like low on the invites, but really high on the follow-ups. And actually, I say to my guys with our system, invites are important, but the fortune's in the follow-up. So I don't understand it. If someone invites 20 people and then their follow-ups are only 50, they can't be doing enough follow-ups if they're inviting all those people daily. Mm-hmm. My view is, even if you're not promoting posts, the follow-up should be really high in terms of a number. But that's my, that's my personal take on it. But my background's property, and I know, like, I used to deal with property prospects, and I was the persistent person who would like go through my tracker and I'd follow up, and they'd be like, you're so, yeah, I mean, polite way of saying you're really persistent. But, that's just, I'm pretty disciplined with that, because it feels uncomfortable to feel like that's not in control. Again, my control thing. So Sarah is smashing it, by the way. Sarah's on the road to 1-star, and she enrolled with me at the end of January. So that's Sarah Jalali here who's talking, and she does exactly what I do. So
I think we need to ask Sarah to do a call.
Yeah, she's proved that what what I'm doing replicates. I mean, she's obviously a person, right, who's doing really, really well.
I remember. Is this Sarah from the cruise?
Sarah wasn't on the cruise.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were chatting with her. That's Sarah?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yay. Congrats, Sarah. I know she like went diamond. Like it was like ding, real fast.
In like 2 months,
yeah, it was pretty quick. So, okay. Any other questions you guys have? Follow-ups is I was gonna say, had my coach not followed up with me for 8 long months, I wouldn't be here. But she kept
that's the fear I get. I'm like, but maybe that's that one person that I'm gonna drop and put, they haven't responded, but they might be my rock star coach.
Yeah. It had Jamie's saying it took her 11 months to sign up. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are worried they're going to bother people, but especially if you're in Instagram or if you're emailing with people, sometimes they're running around with their kids and it's like right over their head and they forget. And like, if you aren't there to be like, hey, I'm doing another group, do you want to, look into this? Like, I think that's something to just really think about. The fortune is in the follow-up, and it is like 7 to 12 follow-ups before they're like, okay, or they're like, okay, can you stop? I'm good. I'll let you know. Like sometimes you'll get that, which is fine. So it's actually Melissa. Oh, it's Melissa. Sorry.
I thought that was Melissa.
Is her face on?
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't look like Jamie.
Sorry, I'm looking at a different page. My bad. Melissa, Jamie, y'all. Anyways. Awesome. Okay. Anybody else have questions? No? Yes? No? Well, if you don't have questions, I'm going to let her go.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
I need a boomerang.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's
it's quite nice for me to be on this call. It's a nice big call. You probably want to get off the phone.
Show us your faces, everybody. Ready?
Steady. Oh, hold on. The light's really bad. Go.
Yay.
I can't see my face, but anyway.
And you guys can tag her and watch how she does her stories. They're very strategically done and like awesome. Izzy, is it Izzy underscore or is it Izzy Bradshaw?
Izzy underscore Bradshaw Fitness. Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm pretty pedantic about my stories. I'm like, I have to be on my stories every day. Like that's a game changer too. Make sure you're on your stories and it's clear that what you're doing. Particularly if you want to build your team, you need to be talking about the coach opportunity and pointing at it all the time.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, we'll let her go. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you all. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.